Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Captain's Table. I am your host, Captain B-Nard, and topic of discussion today is going to be a review and reflection for all of my Wi-Fi battles here on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, it has been quite a long time since I've done one of these summary videos because I've been playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for quite a long time, nearly 3.5 years. Hard to believe. It really is the end of an era here with this game. So, yeah, that is pretty crazy to think about. But anytime that I stop producing content for any game that I've been playing on YouTube, I like to make one of these number crunch videos just to go ahead and review all of the facts and figures about all of the battles that I had here on YouTube on these games. So I do this for my own enjoyment, and hopefully you guys will get some sort of entertainment value out of it. So um, yeah, we'll waste no further time and we'll go ahead and jump right into it. I will say that this took me quite a long time to go ahead and crunch all these numbers, but I did in fact do that. So yeah, here we go. We're going to get it started. So as you can see here, I did have a total of 220 battles here on Scarlet and Violet on YouTube. Now, that is not every single battle that I had on the game, but that is most of them, I will say. Most of them that went to completion. Obviously, I can't post every battle that I have. There are some that are not worth posting, but I do strive to kind of give you guys an accurate representation of how the teams that I build do. Which is something I'm going to touch on a little bit more later. But um, as you can see, of those 220 battles, 203 of them were single battles, 6v6. So that is really the standard for the channel. Always has been, always will be, hopefully anyway. But we'll talk more about that later as well. But I do like to mix it up with a couple of other battle types as well. As you can see, we did have two multi-battles here. For those of you who've been watching the channel for a long time, you'll know I used to get a lot more multi-battles back in the DS days with the Versus recorder. That made it a lot easier to go ahead and do post-battle commentary on the recorded video, so that you didn't have to like strategize and commentate at the same time. But unfortunately, since the Switch, as you guys know, the Versus recorder went away, so that's not really a thing. So it kind of makes multi-battles difficult to do. But also, most of the people that I used to do the multi-battles with either don't play anymore or just don't do them anymore. So kind of difficult to get them going. So that's just kind of something that I think went by the wayside over the years, kind of got phased out in the Switch era of Pokemon games. Um, but we also had eight 6v6 doubles battles there. And then we also had seven VGC doubles battles there too. So just try to mix the content up a little bit for you guys. So of those 220 battles that we had, we ended up winning 160 of them and losing 60 of them. And I swear to you guys, I did not try to make those numbers work out like that, but they just so happened to, and I thought that was pretty funny, honestly. But um, that lands me with a win percentage of about 73% total. So, as I started to say earlier, what I really strive to do on this channel, and again, you guys have been watching me a long time will already know this, but what I strive to do on this channel is build fun, interesting, and original teams, combinations of Pokemon that I just like. I don't really enjoy using like the OU or Uber Pokemon. I don't enjoy using like broken or overpowered Pokemon for the most part. So I try to avoid that stuff, and I try to use more mid to lower tier Pokemon. I try to use stuff that I enjoy, that I can make an interesting strategy out of, because that's really where the entertainment value lies for the game. For me, and also kind of challenges me to be a better player as well. So, with that, I strive to bring you guys an accurate representation of how well these teams do in battle. So, to me, there's no point in, say, if I were to have like 20 games with a team and I were to win like four of them and lose like 16 of them, it doesn't do anything for me to go ahead and just post those like four victories and just totally erase or forget about all the losses, because that's not real, and that's not really what I do here on the channel. I try to, like I said, give a real feel of how these teams do. And so yeah, this is pretty accurate representation, I feel, of how I perform and how the teams perform. That is always my goal at the end of the day. So, um, but as well, for all those battles that we had, as you can see, of course, we also had 151 different opponents across those 220 battles. So lots of different players, lots of randos, of course, but some rivalries as well, as we will see in just a moment here. And we used 175 different Pokemon this time around. So we'll touch more on that when we get down to the Pokemon later. But I really, once again, I did strive to use a lot of the newer Pokemon that came out in Generation 9 and Scarlet and Violet. Um, and so, I think that shows through as well, trying to get like a good mix, a good variety of different Pokemon, different strategies here, just to kind of keep things interesting. So that is always the goal for me. So, moving along, we are going to come to our reoccurring players here on Scarlet and Violet. So, from the top, these are people who I've faced that you guys might be familiar with. Some of you might even be watching this, actually. So, taking it from the top, we have Al, the Abomination, whatever you want to call him, our pal and rival here on many Pokemon games, but specifically on Scarlet and Violet. Here we kind of ramped up our games, and he is actually tied for most games this generation with another man you should all know very well, the infamous Joey Fontaine, there on the screen as well. The numbers you see on the screen by the players' names will be my record against that player. So, first number will be amount of times I defeated them. Second number will be amount of times they defeated me. And if there is a third number, which only in the case of two of these players, there will be those that indicates that I teamed up with them in a multi-battle. So, but yeah, Al and Joey, there you go, the top of the charts here for B-Nard's rivals here on YouTube, at least on Scarlet and Violet. So, good stuff there. But moving down the list, we have Chris, also known as Pokemaster88 from the Discord server. Go ahead and join the Discord server. It's what's basically for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battles right now. Actually, not anymore, but that's okay. We've got Viridoo, also known as Viridoo from the Discord server. I swear I didn't plan on having them together like that, but it just kind of worked out that way because I did it in order of, descending order of most games played on Scarlet and Violet. It just so happened that they were next to each other. So, that's I love it when things work out like that. It's just funny. So, then of course we've got Ray, the Scholar and Viola, former two-time Draft League champion, with us. We've got the fabled heel Emerald Miner. We've got the notorious HYM, the Discord and Draft League owner, Schwalbian. Yeah, that's pronunciation that I can't do with my American tongue, but that's okay. And we've got our Draft League whore, Brandon P, right there too. And as you can see, it just kind of filters down from there. A lot of good players on here, fellow YouTubers, fellow PokeTubers. Good community we have out of the Discord server for sure. Just a lot of good people, a lot of good players, and some fun times for sure on Scarlet and Violet. So we'll keep it moving along a little bit there. So who could forget the British YouTuber himself, the British underdog, Just Weavile, the man who started it all, as it were, at least as far as the Discord server on Scarlet and Violet. The man who's given us 1,000 memes, although he's run dry. So he's, if you're watching this, Just Weavile, get back on Pokemon and give us some more memes. So, but anyway, good stuff, good stuff. So, that is going to bring us over to the Pokemon side of things. So, all right. So, now this was the really daunting part, ladies and gentlemen. The really daunting part was listing off all of the Pokemon. So, as I mentioned, I used 175 different Pokemon on this game. So that is a lot of freaking Pokemon. So going through and listing them all, and also listing how many times I used them in battle, which is what I did here. That is the number next to the name of the Pokemon. Was quite a daunting task. There's no two ways about it. It was quite a daunting task. So, but that is what I did, and so now it is done. So now I can, go through everything. So, um, it should be no surprise that the Pokemon I used more than any other on Scarlet and Violet once again has to be the Captain Gudra. We finally got a shiny one in Scarlet and Violet. That was pretty cool. Really cool, actually, because it was a 100% full odds shiny we just found in the wild. So that is pretty incredible. 49 different games that we brought the Gudra to in Scarlet and Violet, so that's pretty cool. Nothing else even came close, but second place we've got the Rotom Wash, 34 different games we brought that to. Third place we've got our Scizor, 27 games. And most of these Pokemon, I think, if not all of them, toward the top of the charts here for our Pokemon that we like to use are, in addition to just being Pokemon that I like, they are Pokemon that I drafted multiple times in multiple seasons of our draft league. Just because obviously that would if we draft them, bump their usage up. So, but yeah, we've got the Hawlucha clocking in at 25 games. We've got the fabled B-Nard Sneasler clocking in at 24 games. We've got our Gastrodon and our Mudsdale and our Alolan Ninetales clocking in at 19 games each. And it just kind of filters down from there, as you can see. So, like I said, really the only thing that any or all of these Pokemon have in common, for the most part, or are they are all just Pokemon that I like, pretty much. So, I occasionally I will use Pokemon that I'm not super fond of, just to kind of like balance a team out. For example, so if I'm making a new 6v6 team, and I've got maybe 4 or 5 Pokemon on the team already, just ones that I really like to use, and I'm looking for the last 1 or 2 spots to kind of type balance the team out or fill like a void that that I need to fill in order to make the team competitively viable. A lot of times then I will grab Pokemon. Don't want to say that I ever really use Pokemon that I really don't like, because honestly that's a pretty short list, like of Pokemon that I really don't like. But I try to use the ones that I like most. But again, occasionally, some of the decisions will be made just because I need to fill the void on a team to make it work competitively. So, but yeah, lots and lots of Pokemon to go through here. So we're gonna keep on rolling. Yeah, there are tons and tons. Like I said, 175. Um, so yeah, it'll take us a while to get through these. I'm not going to comment on all of them, like I said, because that would just take way too much time. But just want to throw it up here because these are the Pokemon, ladies and gentlemen. These are the Pokemon that I like to use. Um, I think that they, for the most part, a lot of the Pokemon that I like to use are not one dimensional. I know there are some that are, but a lot of the Pokemon I like to use have, you know, multiple roles they can fill on a team, or they have like deeper move pools, or multiple different ways they can use them strategy wise. And ultimately it does come down to a design thing, though, I will say. So like, I do obviously prefer certain designs over other designs, and so I I try to, in that as well, get a good mix of typings and stat distributions, because obviously that will determine how they can be used competitively. And so I try to get that, for you guys as well. I like to get a good mix, a good distribution of things. Um, of course, it keeps it more entertaining for me as well, but I think it's more entertaining for you guys because, again, if I just made the same OU cookie cutter team of like 6 broken Pokemon and just use that 100 times over, I don't think that would be very fun for anybody. So I really try to avoid doing that. So yeah, and I'd like to think that I do a relatively good job of avoiding that for the most part. So, like I said, I don't really enjoy like the really overpowered stuff, the really common stuff. I like to use stuff that isn't so common or stuff that you don't see very often. Even if I use a Pokemon that is something that you'll see more often, I try to use it in a way that is not common. Essentially, I try to use it in a way that is um, more uncommon. Keep my opponent guessing, but it will also kind of like make it more interesting for me. It's kind of fun because if you use a Pokemon with a set that is not common, so like if there's a Pokemon that's obviously known for doing one specific thing, and then you can kind of build a set for it that is different than what people are used to seeing, then people may just assume, oh, it's the same old, set that everybody uses, but then you can maybe catch them off guard. Um, and surprise them with a set that is in fact not what they were expecting. So um, yeah, that is one of the joys of Pokemon in my mind anyway. I very much enjoy um, that aspect of Pokemon. So but yeah, we will come to as we're going to start to see in a second here. We're a little less than halfway down the list of all the Pokemon that I've used, and a lot of Pokemon clocked in at about 4 or 5 games that I brought them to. And so the reason for that is, as you guys may have noticed, I tended to have about 5 games per team on Scarlet and Violet. That was kind of the standard. So anytime I built a new 6v6 team, I would have 5 games with it and then move on from it. So the reason for that is, I think for the most part, I think if I'm having less games than 5, and it's kind of like floated between 4 and 6 for the most part in most of my Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battles. In the games, or I should say, not Scarlet and Violet, but over the years of all the different Pokemon games that I've played on YouTube, it kind of floats between. I think the most was about 4, and then when I started off, it was kind of a lot. I think it was like 8, 9, 10, more than that sometimes, and I found pretty quickly that kind of got boring after a while. Um, because it's like if you use the same team over and over and over again, you're going to have like the same scenarios playing out over and over and over again. So I think that kind of gets boring after a while. I don't really think that's super fun. But at the same time, if I don't use a team enough times, then it's kind of like I don't get to explore all the possibilities. So my ideal scenario is that I want to use the team enough times so that every member of the team can kind of shine and do its thing at least once, so you can kind of see the strategy behind why I built the set the way I built it, and like what I was hoping to accomplish with the set. So if I only have like 2 or 3 games, I know a lot of PokeTubers will only end up having like 2 or 3 games or so with the same team, and I think that you don't really get to see the full showcase of the team at that point, because you can't possibly have enough time to shine for all your Pokemon on the team in only 2 or 3 games. Um, so it's a fine line. I will say it's a fine line between overusing the team and underusing the team. Um, so I don't want to like overuse the team, because at the same time, like I said, if I'm having like 10 games with the same team, it kind of gets a little boring after that. Like it starts to get boring for me at that point, because it's like I'm just going through the motions, I'm just doing the same thing, I'm leading with the same Pokemon, like the same 1 or 2 Pokemon, and I'm, making the same play, whether it be setting hazards or pivoting or whatever. And, after a while that just kind of gets old and that gets boring. So I try to avoid that. For sure, I try to avoid that, because that's not very fun to me. So, um, you know, I think the way I have it down packed, I think it kind of makes it. It's kind of like the best of both worlds almost. I want to say, as I have it, I think it's about the best of both worlds. Um, because, like I say, it gives you enough time to it gives the Pokemon like enough of a chance to shine. I will say though, with 5 games, like there are Pokemon sometimes with even with 5 games that I can't like. I can't fully get them to shine. Like, I'll build a team, and then there'll still be like one or two Pokemon that kind of didn't pop off or didn't do what I wanted them to do after the 5 games. But I'm just like, well, it just kind of is what it is at that point. Like, I gave them their chance to shine, and honestly, that says something in and of itself as well, because if I had like 4 or 5, 6 games to try and make a Pokemon do what it was supposed to do, and there was no opportunity for it to actually pop off and do what I wanted it to do, then to me that kind of means maybe either the Pokemon's not that good, or maybe the set that I made is not that good. So I think that that is also kind of like information in and of itself. It's kind of telling in and of itself. So that is also something to factor in. So, but as you can see, we are finally about at the end of the fives, and we are going to get into the fours. I think there's less of them. So yeah, we are getting close to the end of the laundry list here. We're almost there. I only leave them up for a few moments, just um, so you guys can see. But we are getting close, I believe, at this point. So yeah, a lot of good Pokemon here. A lot of favorites of mine. I will say there are Pokemon that I wish I could make do more, as I'm sure a lot of competitive battlers feel the same way. It's like maybe there's just a Pokemon and you like it, and you think to yourself like, oh man, like I really wish I could do more with this thing, or I could make it do more, And unfortunately, unfortunately, that's not always the case. Sometimes, I mean, you do get bad matchups, that's for sure as well. Sometimes you just end up in a bad matchup with a Pokemon, and there's not a lot you can do about it, and there's nothing it can do really. Um, but that's at the same time, that just kind of is what it is. Like that's kind of the nature of the beast, I will call it. So that does happen sometimes, um, but yeah. Overall, I would say I'm pretty happy, with what I got to use on Scarlet and Violet. I will say that I there weren't really many Pokemon left that I thought about using that I didn't get to use on Scarlet and Violet. 'Cause like I said, I played this game for about 3.5 years. Um, I want to say it was 27 full 6v6 different teams. Something else I did that you guys probably noticed as well, that I've done a little bit before, but I really kind of took off with it in the last one, is I had more like teams based on a specific Pokemon. So that's something that I thought was fun to do, specifically a lot of times with the Hisuian Pokemon from Pokemon Legends Arceus, because obviously that I didn't play Legends Arceus, so there were a good amount of new Pokemon introduced in that game that I didn't get a chance to use, and they were for the most part kind of difficult to uh, get your hands on in Scarlet and Violet. Some of them, for a point there, you had to like port them back over to Legends Arceus. Fortunately, my girlfriend had Legends Arceus, so I was able to kind of use that to get some of the Legends Arceus Pokemon, and then kind of make like a 6v6 team just specifically around that Pokemon, kind of recycling, reusing some old Pokemon from some of my old 6v6 teams, and kind of get some extra use out of them, and also kind of try to showcase just those specific Legends Arceus Pokemon, and that worked out, relatively well, I would think. I should say, at least I think it did. Um, but that was fun too. It was fun getting to use Pokemon that were kind of locked off because for whatever reason, they decided to introduce a bunch of new Pokemon in a game that didn't have competitive play. So of course all the competitive players were going to be foaming at the mouth trying to get them when the next competitive game came out, which was of course Scarlet and Violet. So um, you know fun stuff. So, um, but yeah, that is going to bring us, as you can probably see here. Just want to check. Yes. So to the very bottom of our list here, and at the very bottom of the list, we have the fabled Swanna. So, that is the one Pokemon that I only got to use, I believe, twice on Scarlet and Violet. It's not very good, um, as you guys know, and so yeah, there it is. That is the end of that list. So like I said, real laundry list of Pokemon. But there they all are, 175 in total. So, moving on from that, we are going to come to our Pokemon by type. So, just a little type breakdown of all the different Pokemon that I used. Once again, top of the list, and it usually is when I calculate this, would be the water type. Used 24 different water type Pokemon on this game. Then we cut down to fire, clocking in at 21 different fire types. We have tied for next flying and steel at 20 different each apiece. We've got electric clocking in at 19 different Pokemon. And then it just kind of filters down from there, as you guys can see. You can see which types I'm more preferable to, obviously, and there are certain types that I'm less preferable to that are not as good competitively. So I think for me, the reason that just about every team I build has a water type on it is because it's just so easy to fit onto any team, either like primarily like a bulky water or just any water type in general. They're just very easy to fit onto teams. Their weaknesses are very easy to compensate for, and their resistances are very useful. So I tend to think that those really get on to more of my teams than any other type, generally speaking. But the other ones, nothing surprising from when I usually do this. So yeah, there's the end of that list as well. You can see usually floating toward the bottom of the list, we have ice and rock. Those are kind of like non-preferred types of mine. Those are two types that are not very good defensively. I would argue probably the two worst types defensively in the game. Specifically, ice is definitely hands down the worst type defensively in the game, and so I don't end up using a lot of ice type Pokemon. Rock is barely any better, in my opinion, just because its weaknesses are so crippling and its resistances are halfway not useful. So yeah, that is kind of that breakdown. And then finally, we are going to come to the generational breakdown here. So, for the generational breakdown, these are Pokemon by generation, obviously. So, how many Pokemon from each generation I used on this game. And for perhaps the first time ever, I want to say, I can't quite remember if this is true or not, but this might be the first time ever that Gen 1 is not at the top of this list, because you guys know I am a Gen 1er, old school Pokemon player. But even this generation, ended up using more, as you can see. Gen 9, brand new Scarlet and Violet Generation 9 Pokemon, 48, blowing every other generation out of the water. I think the reason for that was I really wanted to try to focus and highlight the new Pokemon. There were a lot of cool new Pokemon in this generation that I really wanted to use, and so I used them. And the other part of that, I think, is there were also a lot of cool Gen 1 Pokemon that did not return in this game. I think they cut out a lot of good ones from the Scarlet and Violet Pokedex. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that worked out. Little surprising to me until I thought about it was the fact that Gen 8 comes in second. I've used 28 different Gen 8 Pokemon this time around. But I think the reason for that is that there were a lot of Pokemon, there were some cool Gen 8 Pokemon that I only got to use in Gen 8, like back on Sword and Shield, because then, as you guys all know, in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, none of those Pokemon were available, so it's like Scarlet and Violet was really only the second chance to use any of those Pokemon that I liked from Sword and Shield, so that they decided to bring back, which were, there were quite a lot of those. So, and then we've got Gen 1 clocking in third, and with 21 different ones of those. And then all the way at the bottom, we've got our Gens 6 and Gen 3 with 9 and 8, only 9 and 8 Pokemon used respectively from those two generations. And I think for me, because I actually do like Generation 6 quite a bit, there are not. I think Generation 6 is by far the smallest generation, clocking in at only about like 80-ish new Pokemon, I want to say. So that's part of it. But again, I think Gen 6 was kind of the victim of the Pokedex cut in Scarlet and Violet. I think there were a lot of cool Gen 6 Pokemon that did not make it into Scarlet and Violet. So I think that's part of the reason for that. And Gen 3, kind of the same thing. I think I have mixed feelings about Gen 3. There are some Pokemon I like, some I don't, but I think there were a lot of good ones that didn't make it in to Scarlet and Violet. So I think that's why I didn't use too many of those. So, um, but yeah, that is going to about take us to the end of this whole thing. So, let us get to the end. Wow, I've been talking for longer than I thought I would. What else is new? All right, so that's pretty much going to wrap this video, and that is going to wrap Scarlet and Violet, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, long time playing this game. I had a great time playing this game. Um, I think at some point I may do like a full review of Scarlet and Violet. Kind of looking back on it. I might even make that a podcast with more people in it. But my my just surface level thoughts about Scarlet and Violet as a whole, as a game, like looking back on it now, 3.5 years after its release. Um, I really enjoyed it. It was not a perfect game by any measure. There were graphical glitches and there were little things I didn't like about it, but I think Scarlet and Violet, in a nutshell, was a game that I was waiting for a very long time. It was with the full overworld Pokemon experience. Um, that in and of itself was just amazing for me, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I enjoyed the competitive play in Scarlet and Violet a lot, probably more than the last several games. I would say I enjoyed the competitive scene on Scarlet and Violet more than I have since Pokemon came to the Switch, for sure. And I don't say that lightly, but I do think that Scarlet and Violet's meta, for the most part, was very good, very workable. Obviously, there's some exceptions to every rule, including that one, um, but I had a great time playing Scarlet and Violet as a whole, all things considered. It was a really fun game. Both the campaign and the competitive scene, really fun game. So, um, but yeah, obviously with that, we are going to look to the future, and you guys all know what the future is. It's more like the present now at this point, I would say, is Pokemon Champions. So, oh boy, do I have things to say about this, but that's for another video. So, yeah, so at this point, Pokemon Champions has been out for a couple of weeks now, and I've got the game, I've played it. I've been kind of just trying to like farm resources and build up some teams so I can get some Wi-Fi battles for you guys, because that is going to be the next phase here on the Captain B-Nard YouTube channel, is we are going to be doing some Pokemon Champions Wi-Fi battles. Now, for those of you who have the game and have played it, you probably already know there are a ton of issues with the competitive scene on Pokemon Champions. And the biggest of which I would say is the lack of 6v6 games. So currently the only options on Pokemon Champions are 3v3 singles and 4v4 doubles. So it's all VGC at this point. There are Pokedex limitations as well, although I think that's probably the least of our problems. There are also item limitations, which are quite crippling as well. My personal opinion of the game at this point, it is incredibly imbalanced and unhealthy competitively. So it is quite the tough road to walk as far as competitive play. But I am going to do my best and try to get some Wi-Fi battles to you guys of that. We're going to start that up and see where it goes. I know there's a lot of rumors about patches and updates for the game. There's a lot of speculation and hope amongst the player base that 6v6 mode will be added in some capacity to the game. I am skeptical about that. I don't know if it will happen, but I am hoping it will. And I'm hoping that the item selection changes, and I'm hoping that we get massive upgrades to this game. At this point, I've been told to look at it more as like a beta than anything, which okay, maybe not. We'll have to see. Um, but yeah, I definitely have strongly mixed feelings about the game. It is cool to see certain Pokemon back that I haven't seen in a game in quite some time. Obviously, the return of Mega Evolutions is awesome. Some new Megas as well is pretty cool. But yeah, for better or for worse, we are going to be moving over to Pokemon Champions, is what I'm saying, and giving that a go and seeing where it leads. So, gonna have that coming your way sooner rather than later, hopefully. So, but until then, that is gonna be it for this one. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and/or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new videos in the future. So that's it, and we'll see you next time.